We are live. Welcome back, everyone. We love doing these, and today we're going to talk about estate planning again. Estate planning we've been talking about for the last month, and now we're going to talk about some of those investment products that can actually help your estate plan. So, without a further ado, I'm going to introduce Fawaz. Fawaz works for Manulife, and Fawaz, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about what you do at Manulife?
Yeah, thank you, Sheean, and thanks for having me today. My main responsibility is to be a marketing rep for Manulife, marketing our products and what we offer to financial advisors. And my region is the western part of the GTA, which is ultimately just getting advisors familiar with our products, concepts like estate planning, retirement income, so on and so forth. Is a lot of what we try to do to help advisors. So.
Yeah, Fawaz is being a great help to our business. Not only do they have fantastic products, but when it comes to actually like the bigger questions, how do I do this? What's next? Retirement income planning, estate planning, they're really great resources for us. Most people just know Manulife for straight up insurance. But anyways, let's get right into it. I'm going to start asking the questions because we're talking about segregated funds today. So Fawaz, what is segregated funds versus like, say, a mutual fund?
It's pretty easy. Think about it as a segregated fund is a mutual fund. It just has a guarantee. Okay, so basically it's a mutual fund wrapped in an insurance guarantee. So that's why they fall under the insurance side, but they are ultimately an investment. So the best way to look at it is to look at it as a mutual fund with a guarantee of some sort attached to it. That's the simplest way to look at a segregated fund. So the same options you have in a mutual fund, equity, balanced, fixed income, are offered in a segregated fund as well. It's, again, just that insurance component. That's the differentiator.
Yeah, that's so they're used and they have this insurance wrapper around them. Is there different levels of guarantees that these things come in? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So there's two types of main guarantees in the industry. There's 100% and 75%. The difference between the two is simply your comfort level on whether or not you're okay with the market returns over a certain time period that you have. If you are worried that that a death benefit is required and that upon death you do want to make sure that you have a guaranteed value that is sent to your beneficiaries, then that is why you would use the 100%. It comes with extra costs, but for those who are okay with the cost just for that guarantee at the end of the life of the seg fund. So that's one way of doing it. And the other way is to simply just have it as a 75% guarantee, to simply use it as an estate planning tool for beneficiaries that you may want to have on these policies. That product is a little bit geared towards the estate planning side. Both work, but we just noticed that people who use the 75% are looking for the estate planning benefits and not the guarantee. So that's the type of seg funds.
And before we actually get into the estate planning side of these products, why don't you just touch on, you said guarantees, right? So is it guarantees on the market value? Is it guarantees on my deposit? How's the guarantee work so people understand what this is?
Yeah, for sure. So there's a lot of bells and whistles. So in the interest of not overcomplicating it, ultimately, if you look at it, it's let's say I deposit $100,000 into a 100% guaranteed product. Typically, they have resets on that. So if your market value is 100,000, your death benefit is going to be 100,000. With different types of contracts, that amount can reset up. So you can actually lock in your guarantees over time. And that will help you kind of preserve what you've made. This way, you're kind of moving up with the market rather than just kind of staying stable at that initial point. So
those resets can't go down, right? If the market value.
You got it. If you're looking at 100% guarantee, those resets cannot go down. And upon death, you will always get whatever is higher, your market value or your death benefit. So if the market really takes off right before, you still can participate in that growth. And then on the flip side, if the market really sees a downturn like we did last year, then you still have that locked in guarantee, although your market value has gone down.
That's awesome. It's almost like a GIC in a sense when you have the 100% guarantee.
It is, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
So why should people consider segregated funds and estate planning? We just started to talk about it. Why don't we talk about how these things are used a little bit more, generally speaking here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the main reason why you would use a segregated fund, and this is specific to non-registered accounts, okay? So what we're talking about with estate planning can apply to the non-registered side because of RSPs, pensions, and TFSAs. You can designate a beneficiary there. So where this comes into play is for non-registered accounts. And the best part about that is being able to designate any beneficiary that you want. With that, you bypass probate. So the proceeds go directly to your beneficiary. And then in some cases, it can actually offer you creditor protection. I won't go too much into that. Just it depends on a certain scenario. But that's something that we can get to if you'd like. So those are probably the three main reasons.
So non-registered account, you have that there, and you get to name a beneficiary. So it's very similar to like an RSP. You have an RSP, you designate a beneficiary, which is typically your spouse, and the money flows directly to them, or kids, whatever have be.
Yeah, or I'll just interject, or charity, grandkids, your favorite neighbor. There's no limit. It's your money. You get to designate who gets it once you pass away.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So I guess the next question is, so now who should be kind of thinking about using this product, so that they can, you talked about avoiding probate, you talked about non-registered accounts. So who are the type of people that are best suitable for a segregated fund?
Yeah, for sure. Great question, because this is very important. So the way we look at it is whenever the estate planning conversation is starting, that's probably when you should start considering this. For a lot of the clients that we deal with, it's typically people in between 65 to 95. That's kind of the age range that we're looking at. With that said, again, non-registered accounts is the type of person that would really benefit from this. And then also, if there's any kind of complicated situation that your family is in, whether you have a blended family, you have some trust issues within the family, this is where this product is really easy to not only set up, administer, and also make sure that your assets get sent to the people that you want to have your assets go to. And this will not be contested at all by the will. If that family member comes back and says, hey, why didn't I get a piece? This is all outside the will, cannot be contested, completely private. So that is who is perfect for this product.
And then when you talk about perfect person, is there like generally a dollar amount that, because probate, there's a percentage that's charged on the assets that you actually have to pay to the government upon death. So is there a dollar value you'd say that would work for this type of product?
There isn't really a dollar value. I mean, as you can imagine, when we're talking about estate planning, it's going to be larger sums of money. They're typically six-figure amounts. It's a large amount. People are really worried about it. What's going to happen? What's it going to do? But there is no restriction to the dollar amount at all. You can start doing this at $1,000. So that from a restriction with dollar amount standpoint, there is nothing. But typically, when it comes to estate planning, we are dealing with six-figure type accounts.
Awesome, yeah. Well, I guess with the probate fees in Ontario, I think they're like 1.5%. So, 1.5% on $1 million is how much you'd have to pay the government in probate. Don't quote me on the actual number, but I believe it's 1.5%.
For sure, and that's a great point that you make, because that 1.5% is it's not enough to really kind of make you think about going somewhere else. It's not the probate fees at all. It's literally just a customization of the beneficiaries. It's almost like you're setting up a trust without dealing with a lawyer.
Wow, yeah, that saves you money and right there. Absolutely. So how are people using segregated funds then for estate planning specifically now? So what type of product are they using, like the guarantees wise and all that? Let's talk about that.
For sure. I'll give you three type of examples that we see. The first one is a popular, pretty simple type scenario. So let's say I have two kids that I want to make sure the money gets passed down to. So let's say me and my wife, we have two kids in their 20s and their 30s, whatever it may be, as long as they're an adult. The beneficiaries do have to be over 18. A simple situation would be I set the account up with my wife as our kids being the beneficiaries. If I pass away, the account goes to my wife. She owns the account. Once she passes away, then the money is divvied up to the children. In this case, 50-50, $100,000 account. We cut a check to both kids of $50,000. That is a simple type of a common type situation. A customized type situation, we had one last year. We had somebody who sold a property, and she was adamant at leaving some money to her grandkids. She was very specific as to who, which I kind of just find that interesting. But what she wanted was, she has 3 kids and 5 grandkids, and she actually got to decide the exact percentages that she wanted to send. I wasn't a part of the application process, but from speaking to the advisor, there was definitely some favorites there. So she really just wanted to make sure that, hey, so-and-so gets this amount, so-and-so gets this amount, so on and so forth. So again, that's where the trust-like ability is really prominent in that kind of situation. So that's kind of the second case that we see.
So hold on a sec, Fawaz, when you say that, does that mean that, like, if you wanted to give to these grandkids, there wouldn't be any meddling from the parents? Because I guess you're missing a generation, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's all outside the will. It can't be contested. It's private, meaning the grandkids don't even know who got what. The parents don't know who got what. So the grandparent is the only one who is fully aware of who's getting what. The beneficiaries, once they get that cash, they don't know which sibling, which grandkid received the money. Completely private.
Wow. Okay. And then the third situation that you were going to bring up?
Yeah, the third situation, thankfully we don't get too often, but this is when you don't trust your children from a financial standpoint. Okay. I'll give you an example that we've had. I have 2 younger brothers. So let's say my parents wanted to set something up for their 3 kids. How they would do it, let's say they looked at me, I'm just going to use me as an example, and said, Fawaz, he's the irresponsible one. We're worried about sending him actual cash. So let's say the account is $300,000. What you could do is set up a cash payment to 2 of the kids, and the 3rd child, you can set up an annuity payment. So what that means is you don't trust that child with a check for $100,000, but you're okay with sending them, let's say, $10,000 a year over a 10-year period. Got it. This way they can, you're ensuring that they don't essentially blow it all in a week. That's ultimately what we're trying to get to. So that's the third situation. But thankfully, we don't come across that, but it's an option. And unfortunately, in the past, we've had these issues with if you have a daughter or a son that has a drug problem, a spouse that you're worried about with your kids, whatever the scenario may be, that is a third option that you have, and that's called the annuity settlement option.
That is actually huge. Let's bring it back here. Young Sheean, 22 years old, gets a check for $300,000. I don't know if I would have, invested that money, or if I would have spent it on whatever. So, I mean, that's a great option. And I think that children don't really know how they're going to react at certain stages in life, and it could be irresponsible. So it's a really great option there, that you could have an annuitized payment. Now, when you say an annuity, is it just for that 10-year period, or can you do it for like the whole life? How does that work? Completely
custom. It's however you want it, however the frequency. It's completely customized, and this is a free option. So
free.
There's no cost associated with this. The only cost endured would be just on the MER of the actual investment that you have, but we can help you set up beneficiaries, annuity settlement options. Basically, the annuity is determined at the time of death. So if you're asking what the rates will be, I have no idea. Okay. If somebody passed today, I could tell you, but next year after, it's hard to determine. But it's still a very attractive feature that we offer.
Yeah, no, definitely. So you talked about MERs, which for people on the line, management expense ratio, exactly how much you pay. These things are on mutual funds. These things are on exchange traded funds. These things are on segregated funds. Now, typically, segregated funds have higher MERs than other products. Is that the case today, or How's the costs? What are the costs like?
Yeah, for sure. So again, to go back on the different types of products that we offer, think about it as a kind of a barbell approach. You can look for something with low cost, low guarantees, or something with high cost, high guarantees. So this is the difference between 100% and the 75%. Typically, what we're seeing now, just because of the conversations about fees that are happening, more and more people are okay with using this just for that beneficiary designation and wanting a lower MER and therefore having a lower guarantee. So it depends on your sensitivity of the guarantee, but ultimately the guarantee will cost more, the 100% versus the 75%. To give you an example, for a balanced fund, the 75% guarantee in fee-based MER, you're looking at something between 1.1 to 1.35. But if you're looking at 100% guarantee, then you're looking at 1.7 to 2.5. So you can see that that cost is significant, and in some cases it could be double. So that is the option that you have with the guarantee and a product with a lower guarantee.
Yeah, that MER, the reason for the cost, I guess, is the cost of insurance, right? That's the difference in price.
You got it. You got it. So essentially, with the 100% death benefit, we have to have more in reserves. That costs us more money, and that is why it's passed on. And you see it within the contract. On the 75% side, there's really not much of a cost there, so that's why they are cheaper. So again, depends on what you feel you need.
Got it. Okay, so that's really good to know. Segregated funds have actually come down a ton in price. I remember when even like 5 years ago, they were really expensive. So it's really great to hear that these prices are almost matching mutual fund expenses at this point.
They're pretty close, for sure.
Yeah, they're definitely close. It doesn't seem that far off. Now, I guess this is a really important question, and people probably don't know the answer to this. Who can sell these things? Because I am an IROC licensed investment advisor, and I can sell stocks, bonds, ETFs, everything. But I'm also a life insurance agent as well, and I have the ability to sell life insurance, group disability, critical illness, segregated funds, and all that. So for people to know, where can they buy these things?
For sure. So that's a great question. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's anybody with a life insurance contract can sell these products. Again, they are considered insurance products, so that's why it falls under the insurance side. But if you have a life insurance product, you can sell this.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. And then how do people differentiate if they have segregated funds versus just a mutual fund? How can they tell? Maybe is it supposed to be disclosed by the investment advisor or the life insurance agent, or how do people find out what they're in? Is there a application process? Because a lot of people don't even know what they own, right?
Oh, for sure. So, I mean, there would have been an application process, but the easiest way to tell if you own a segregated fund or not is if you're seeing on your statement words like guarantee, words like death benefit, maturity guarantee. That should kind of raise a little bit of a flag that should tell you, hey, this is not a regular type investment. There is some kind of insurance component to it. The statement is the easiest way to tell, for sure.
Or just come see us, right? If you don't know, just ask me or ask Fawaz. We can help you all. We love looking at everything, analyzing it, and finding the best products because, quite frankly, segregated funds aren't best for every single person. You know, there's certain situations where they're most suitable for you. And at the end of the day, this is something that we specialize in, so we can recommend those products. Now, I don't see any questions coming in here. No, I don't see any questions at all right now. Is there anything else that we think we should touch on? We have a couple more minutes here. Maybe we talk a little bit more about, you mentioned it at the beginning. There was a part that we can deeper dive on. What was that, Fawaz? I forget.
This is probably with the guarantees and
yes.
and kind of how they work. So the reason why I didn't want to go through a deeper dive because there's a lot of different types of segregated funds. Okay, so what we're talking about here is not only a Manulife solution, but it's an insurance company. So anybody that offers segregated funds has all of these benefits. The bells and whistles are going to be different with each product type. Manulife offers it a certain way, Sun Life another way. So that's kind of the main difference between the two. And also you'll notice that in previous days we used to offer income guarantees. So those are the type of bells and whistles that I was kind of speaking to. But it's something that's differentiated by every company, but these estate planning benefits apply to everybody. So.
Yeah. So I think this is probably a pretty good time. I don't see any more questions. Let's just highlight what we talked about here. Non-registered investment accounts. These are perfect for those. Why? Because you can name the beneficiary on the money. When you have money in a mutual fund in a non-registered account or just stocks, bonds, whatever, you can't name a beneficiary. That has to flow through the will to the beneficiary, and therefore there will also be probate on that. So these are very specific, and we'd love to talk to you all more about it. If you have any more questions about segregated funds or how we can use this for estate planning purposes, Fawaz and I can both have a conversation, as well as Sheean. We all are very versed in the topic, and we don't mind sitting down and explaining it more. But like I say, there's a lot of ways that the government tries to get money from people when they pass away, and this is another way to kind of avoid some of it and then directly having a beneficiary named on the product. I guess, is there anything else that you wanted to add, Fawaz? I think we kind of touched on everything. Maybe we didn't touch on one thing. So our segregated fund products, can you buy any type of investment like equity, stocks, gold? How does that work? And just talk on behalf of Manulife and don't be product specific.
Absolutely. So there's three types of asset classes. They're not going to get too diverse in the sense of gold options and something a little bit nichier. But we offer 100% fixed income products, so a bond fund. We offer balanced funds, and we offer equity funds, and those can be local, i.e. Canadian, US, or global based. Your options are wide open. The only area where your options become lower, where you have less options, would be on 100% death. Just because of the high guarantee, there's a lot of risk associated with having a pure equity portfolio. So in a 100% product, you won't be able to buy an emerging market fund.
Got it.
It's just too volatile. We're guaranteeing it for 100%. It just does not make any business sense. So that's why you're restricted to fixed income and balanced, just to keep the volatility down. So we can still offer these products to your clients.
So there you go. There you have it, everyone. Segregated funds. And this is how we use them for estate planning. This is awesome. I love doing these presentations. I just think they make a lot of sense. We are going to post this on YouTube. So our YouTube page has all of our past webinars. We post everything, and they usually take about a week or two to actually go up on there. We will send the link out for that. I don't see any other questions. Fawaz, thank you very much. I appreciate the time you took out of your day today to be on this call. And
thank you for having me.
No problem. And so we will be back in 2 weeks. And until then, take care.